It began at the Nuremberg Trials. We are telling the story of the Nuremberg Trials to keep them current so that they're not lost to history. And generation after generation after generation of law students is continuing to learn this. And it's not just American law students. We have German law students in the class from Friedrich Alexander University. So the German law students are learning some of their own history that maybe they don't know because they're not from Nuremberg. They're from Berlin or Dusseldorf or Cologne.
You gather every year the students from all over the world in Nuremberg.
Yes.
Just to witness it at firsthand.
Yeah, exactly.
So before the Nuremberg trials, could there possibly be like criminal justice for any political leaders or war leaders like today?
Yeah, before the Nuremberg trials, it was rare. The theory in international law before Nuremberg, and Nuremberg changed this, was that international law only worked on states because only states could make international law, only states were the subjects of international law, not individual people. Nuremberg really flipped that around and said that individual people could be guilty of violating international law. There was an effort after World War I in Paris at the Treaty of Versailles to hold Kaiser Wilhelm accountable individually for the First World War. I think it was Article 118 in the Versailles Treaty. But he escaped. When he abdicated his throne, he took all of his gold and he went and knocked on the door of the Netherlands, his cousins, and his cousins opened the door and said, okay, well, you can have asylum in the Netherlands if you bring your gold. And so he escaped to neutral Netherlands, and that's where he lived out his life. I think he died in 1942 or something like that. So there was an attempt, but it was World War II where it actually happened, and we were able to do it.
Yeah, because the whole world was watching.
The whole
you cannot
world,
just
yes.
take the back door and escape
Yes.
to the Netherlands.
Yes.
Okay, which legal principles that were applied in the Nuremberg trials are still active today?
Yeah, so the main charges at Nuremberg in 1945 were crimes against peace, what today we call that aggression. So that's like Russia invading Ukraine, aggression.
That's why it's the term Russian aggression.
Yeah, they use the term aggression. They don't use crime against peace anymore.
But I think it's fascinating that people don't know what they're talking about. They say on the news Russian aggression, but where does it come from? Why is it Russian aggression?
It comes from Nuremberg.
Yeah. Like the whole world is talking Russian aggression, but it comes from Nuremberg. Yeah.
So that was one. Crimes against humanity, war crimes, which of course, that became the Geneva Conventions later in 1948. Conspiracy was a charge that our European colleagues, other than the British, didn't know much about. It's a common law idea that if you're working as a group to commit a crime, everybody in the group can be prosecuted. That's what we do in common law countries. The French and the civil law world didn't know what to do with that. When we explained it to the Soviets, they liked the idea of conspiracy once we explained it. And so that was a charge at Nuremberg. What was not charged at Nuremberg was genocide. That came later. That came in the treaty after the United Nations was founded, so 1948.
So after everyone got their charges, there was no charge for Holocaust?
Well, no, there was no charge for the Holocaust as a genocide. The crimes against humanity is what it would have been. They presented evidence at Nuremberg, but it was under crimes against humanity, destroying, exterminating people. Once the Holocaust Treaty came, then everyone recognized clearly the Holocaust was genocide. That's the genocide everybody thinks about. And then, of course, there's other genocides that have followed since then.
So the International Criminal Court in The Hague is often described as successor of Nuremberg. Mm-hmm. How direct is the connection between those two? It's
indirect. There have been other international criminal tribunals along the way. So after Nuremberg, you immediately had the Tokyo trials for the Japanese imperial wartime commanders. And that was the first legacy of Nuremberg right afterwards, the following year. But then during the Cold War, we didn't have any trials because the Soviet Union and the United States didn't let anything happen. after the fall of the Berlin Wall, again, relating back to Germany, and the collapse of communism. Then in the 1990s, we had the Yugoslavia Tribunal, we had the Rwanda Tribunal, we've had other tribunals since then, Sierra Leone, Cambodia, Lebanon, now we have Kosovo. But these are all temporary tribunals, and that's what they call ad hoc. They don't live forever. And the idea was that, maybe we need a permanent court, a permanent international court for crimes that's not going to go away. It's just always going to be there, ready to take a case. And that was the idea behind the ICC.
Well, it's interesting how it goes all over the place.
It does.
Not just here, yeah.
It does.
And looking at today, are the principles established in Nuremberg back then, are they now stronger than ever, or are they under pressure?
Both. I think the principles themselves are strong and they're embedded in international law, but for the past few years, international law has been under attack and weakened by administrations in Russia, China, the United States. Those are the big sort of superpowers of today. And so, as these superpowers decide to do what they want in the world, and there's no consequences, that weakens international law. So the principles are stronger because they're embedded in international law, but they're also weaker because they're under threat by the big states.
Yeah, because if you don't have the power, how can a country, for example, as Bulgaria, would say to the United States, "You did wrong there"?
Yeah,
we cannot do it.
You could do it.
I mean, we could do it, but it won't have any.
It's not going to matter.
It's not going to matter.
Yeah, but if there's enough Bulgarias telling us that we did wrong, if there's 25 Bulgarias telling us we did wrong, and you together have some leverage over us, like you have some natural resources that we can't do without, maybe we'll listen to you.
But realistically,
it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
So critics, they sometimes argue that international criminal law is applied selectively and depends on political power. That's what you just said.
Sure.
How can you respond to that criticism?
You just consistently have to keep calling it out when it's violated, even if you know something's not going to happen. You have to keep identifying it and calling it out. There's value in that, even if nothing, comes, because you're telling the truth about what happened. Now, what is the truth in the age of AI? I don't know. This is a new world that we're going to live in.
Yeah, today with AI and with this growth of social media, everything changes so fast. Information flies from one place to another. Before you can judge if it's true or not, it's already spread to millions of people, and people are already on the street.
Yes.
But they say, "Oh, but that was maybe deep fake."
Yeah. Yes.
So we have to deal with that too. We didn't have it 10, 20 years ago.
And sometimes it may change in the same day.
Yeah.
But what happens if an AI deepfake news item starts a revolution? Can you pull it back after it's already started?
I guess we'll see.
I guess we will see.
Because the German TV, they pulled 2 articles that were deepfake. Just 6 months after that, and there were campaign running on it for 6 months. It was a deepfake AI.
Right.
Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah. So this will affect politics too, and how politicians are viewed.
Yeah, there's so many ways, ways. And you'll be coming for so many years to Nuremberg with your students. Why is Nuremberg the classroom of international court?
Nuremberg is the classroom of international court, and I love this euphemism, because this is where it all started. This is the birthplace of the ideas that we use today to bring people to justice, to hold people accountable for what they did, whether they're dictators or warlords or generals, or even people participating in the crimes. And so it's a perfect classroom because this is where it all began. And from the vantage point of Nuremberg being the birthplace of international criminal law, you can look at where it's happening around the world from the birthplace and see how it's changed since Nuremberg. Sometimes for better, sometimes not for better. Sometimes in different ways. Back in 1945 and 1946, we were still executing people who were convicted of war crimes. Now that's off the table. You go to jail for a certain number of years because human rights have come along in the past 80 years. Even for criminals, they get human rights. That was unthinkable back in 1945.
So today, Goering would have human rights.
He would be serving a 40-year sentence instead of being executed.
Well, that's interesting how it all changes. Like people that have killed so many people, then other people show up and say, but they have their right to be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting how people work together.
Yes.
Well, I'm an innocent person. He's guilty, but he has the right to live. So we just put him in the jail cell. We'll feed him. We'll give him water, and he's gonna live until the rest of his days.
And we will even pay for his lawyer.
Yeah, because he has the right to defend himself.
Because he has the right. Yeah. That was what Nuremberg was about. I mean, the United States prevailed upon Britain and France and the Soviet Union because we wanted to show that the Allies, respected the rule of law, unlike the Nazis. And under the rule of law, everybody gets their day in court. And the Nazis didn't give people that day.
And there's many native Germans, they argue if we should give so much attention to the Nazi past of Germany, but all the non-German people that come to Nuremberg, and they're really impressed by how this city is actively confronting its past. What do you think about that? That the native Germans, they're I don't know if you should talk about it, Nazi past, and there's a part say, oh yeah, we should do it.
Yeah, even since the trial in 1945-46, the native Germans were in disagreement about the trials, and so that disagreement has continued. Which in a democracy is fine. Have the debate, figure out what you want to do with it. Just like the debate about paying tax dollars to preserve Nazi monuments for education, or not using the tax money to let the monuments crumble. Well, then that hurts your ability to teach the next generation. So the thing about democracy is the more people debating, hopefully the idea that emerges is a better idea because it's been tested and it's been argued about back and forth.
But why do you think the international visitors are impressed by?
Well, I think in comparison, Germany has done the best job of all of the post-conflict societies in confronting its past. You see countries like Japan who haven't. I mean, they say words, but there's not a whole lot of meaning behind the words about what Japan did during World War II. And if you talk to someone in China or Korea, they're not going to feel like Japan really understood what it did or is sorry for what it did. If you talk to someone in Poland or Israel or even France, they will tell you Germany, has done a good job confronting, what it did. And that carries through today. I mean, has Serbia really apologized for what it did during the Balkan Civil Wars? Depends on if you ask a Serbian or if you ask a Croatian or a Bosnian or an Albanian or even a Bulgarian.
Difficult subject.
Sure. Have the Turks apologized for what they did during the Ottoman Empire? To the Bulgarians or the Romanians or even the Greeks? The Turks won't even admit they committed genocide against the Armenians.
Still to this day.
Still to this day. Yeah. So in comparison, Germany has done.
So the Germans should be proud of
a very good job, yes.
In the last 70 years.
Yes.
Yeah, and what is the one thing that surprises your student the most when they come to Nuremberg?
I think what surprises them the most is how friendly the people are, especially the students who haven't been to Europe before. And maybe they've read about World War II, but it's history. And so they've read about the Third Reich and the National Socialist past, and they don't know what to expect coming to Germany in the 21st century. And they come to Germany and they see all these friendly people.
No more Nazis today.
There's no more Nazis. Everybody speaks English, and everybody is from everywhere else. There's all these immigrants living side by side with everybody. There's people with different religions. There's lots of diversity. It's welcoming. It's friendly. Nuremberg has become, I think, sort of a city of human rights, not the city of the Nuremberg Code, or the Nuremberg laws, which is what it used to be. So it's successfully flipped, I think, its image, and the trials are essential to that flip.
And as I said right now, your students come here and they see those friendly people, and there are no Nazis here. But
That's
today,
right.
it's in Germany. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's so common that if you don't agree with someone, to be called Nazi, like for about anything.
Okay.
And they use this word so easy.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you, I mean, I don't know. Like, for example, if you say, well, we fight climate change, but we shouldn't destroy our economy, and they'll say, you're a Nazi.
Okay.
I'm not even German.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
common sense for me.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So is that a generational thing? Do the old Germans do it, or just the young Germans?
Everyone.
Everyone.
There's like this group of old and young and
Okay.
like 50-year-old, 40-years-old, the kids. Nazi is like the word you use so lightly that it loses its meaning.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by what the sociology is behind it.
For me,
They mean it as an insult.
yeah, they mean it as an insult, but
It's not a compliment.
it's not a compliment. But they take it too lightly.
Yeah.
I think it's
Maybe.
uneducated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're doing an amazing job here with everyone, but you can
Well.
you can teach to only so many students.
Sure.
You can teach to 80 million
Sure.
Germans. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But 80 million Germans can watch this podcast.
Yeah, that's why we're trying to do it. Yeah, I think that's very important to show to the whole world.
Yeah.
And that's one positive thing of social media and
Yeah.
YouTube. And if someone spends just one day in Nuremberg, what should they do in order to understand the origins of international criminal justice?
I think if someone spends one day in Nuremberg, they should go to the documentation center, which is over by the Nazi Party rally grounds. Whether or not they do much with the Zeppelin field or the Congress Hall, that's fine. That's all right there. But then from there, I think that they should go to the memoriam in the Nuremberg Palace of Justice and see courtroom 600, where the trial took place, see the Memoriam Museum, which is in the attic, understand how these Allied powers after World War II decided to hold the Third Reich accountable for what it did. The Documentation Center will help put courtroom 600 in context, because it tells the story of the rise of the NDSP and how they were able to establish the Third Reich. And then I think after those two things, coming into the Altstadt and walking down Königstrasse, going to the plaza in front of the Frauenkirche, walking up to the Imperial Castle, going to a beer garden, channels what Germany used to be and what Germany is, which is glorious in both directions. There's just this one period where it fell down and really in a terrible way, and the international community had to hold it accountable for what it did, but now it has rebounded and it's reclaimed some of that old past.
So it has been amazing correction.
Yes, an amazing correction. The metaphor is, look around Nuremberg. This city was flattened. 80% of it was gone after the war because of the Allied bombing. But they took the old stones and they put them back up. They rebuilt the cathedrals. They rebuilt the hotel that we're sitting in. They rebuilt all of the buildings up and down Königstrasse and all the other streets, the bridges. And that rebuilding of Germany is a metaphor for making a new country from the corrected path that destroyed it, and made it into a brand new vision of what Germany could be and what Nuremberg could be as a city of human rights. They rebuilt it.
Yeah, that's amazing. What happened here hasn't happened anywhere in the
Yeah.
world. Yeah, and beyond history itself, what lesson should every citizen take away from Nuremberg? Not just the law students, but every citizen.
I think probably the important thing is to call it out when you see it. Call out war crimes when you see them. Call out genocide. Call out crimes against humanity. Call out aggression. Even if no one's listening. Even if the countries that you're calling out are acting against you, you have to try to be brave to call it out. And when you do, you're going to get repercussion. You're going to get people that attack you. You have to be able to withstand that, because it's not just for you that you're calling it out. It's for the next generation. It's for your kids and the kids after that. Because if you don't keep calling it out, suddenly you're going to find yourself living in a dictatorship. And it will be, maybe the Nazis all over again.
Yeah, that's very important. And then we have this freedom of speech. Everyone can say in front of the thousands or millions of people what he thinks, and it be confronted in the dialogue.
Yeah.
That's amazing. You don't have it everywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm. No, you're lucky.
We can run our mouths here.
Yes, you're lucky.
In, I don't know.
You're lucky.
Afghanistan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if the Nuremberg trials never have taken place, what do you think international justice would look like today? I think there is only one answer. I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know, I think. But we certainly, I don't think, would have an international criminal court because the foundations wouldn't have been there. I don't know if the international community in the 1990s would have responded to Yugoslavia and Rwanda with a judicial organ the way they did. That wouldn't have been as robust of an option without Nuremberg to build on.
So and at the end, Nuremberg is a pretty unique place after all the things we discussed right now. And it's not, is it because of what happened here, or is it more because of how people deal with it today?
Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism. What happened here is certainly important. Without it, we wouldn't have what we have today. But 80 years later, after the Nuremberg trials, the symbolism of Nuremberg is arguably more relevant to everyday people, not just lawyers. Nuremberg means accountability. Nuremberg means justice. Nuremberg means, holding people to court, no matter who they are and what they did, and paying for their lawyers and letting them make their case, but prosecuting them for what they did, making them pay for what they did. And that's all part of the Western idea and hopefully the global idea of justice.
So we can easily say that the Germans should be proud of themselves for the last 8 years, how they
Absolutely. And even today, Germany is right front and center supporting the International Criminal Court. Germany is right front and center with supporting the International Court of Justice and the United Nations and all of these post-war international institutions that we and they helped build, and that help ensure that international law is effective.
So the people of Germany should hold their head up high.
Absolutely,
because they managed to flip a story to the positive side.
Yes,
of course with the help from the Allies.
Yes,
but that's not easy.
It's not, and for years during the Cold War, especially when it was split, West Germany and East Germany, it was seen as maybe impolite for Germans to feel pride about anything really, because the Holocaust was still in memory. Now, after Germany has been reunified, they're in the European Union. They helped found the European Union, which is an amazing international institution. They're the economic engine of the European Union. They're the fourth or fifth largest economy in the world. They support all of these international institutions. Germany can be proud of its engagement across the globe because it has engaged in largely positive ways. I mean, there's some negative ways, like with Iraq and chemical weapons back in the 1980s, but everybody stumbles, and I'm not excusing that. I'm just saying no country is perfect. But I think Germany can, justly be proud for confronting its past and helping to show a better way to everybody else.
Yeah, that would be a lesson for everyone watching. Yeah, and the future generations, of course. And that's your job, and you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
It was so nice having you here.
Thank you.
Answering all the questions. now we can show it to everyone.
Okay, thank you. Auf
Perfect.
Wiedersehen.
Yeah. Next year, do it again.
Okay, all right. That was fun.